Good morning. I have a question for you. What do your eyes see? It's not what you think they see. I've been thinking about this today, this morning, as I was doing my meditation. Mostly because there's this kind of state that I get to when I get to a certain level in my meditations. It's like everything, it's like I can kind of perceive this glassy, black, almost like obsidian texture. I'm very tactile, more than visual, so it's almost more of a sense than a sight. But it just started me thinking about the things that go on behind my eyelids, and sometimes with, my eyes open. Like, I'm sure you've probably had the experience where you see those little floaty things in your eyes. They kind of like swing around, or they just kind of float. Most of the time, those are there. We don't even notice them. We don't even see them. Or when we look at an object, there's usually an optical glow around it that may be an aura, maybe just an optical afterimage. I'm not even sure if those are different things. But we don't notice those either most of the time. We have this amazing thing going on between our eyes and our brain, where our brain is actually the one doing the seeing. Our eyes take in everything, literally everything. It all gets stored in the subconscious. Our subconscious mind sees everything. But what we're conscious of is just this tiny little fraction of what's actually going on around us. And that fraction that we see is determined more by our experiences in the past than by anything else. What's real, what's important, what we want to see, what we wish were true. Mostly we just see what we've been conditioned to see. And unless we're some kind of an artist or creative person, generally we don't even see what's in front of us. Have you ever looked at those old paintings before perspective came in as an art form? Those old paintings would have a chair, and it would be, there were two ways of doing it. They would either, let's say a pond or something that's circular. When you see it from a distance, it doesn't look like a circle, right? It looks like an oval, like an ellipse sort of thing. And they used to draw them that way. They used to either draw it as their mind would say, as a child does, this is a circle, so I'm going to draw it as a circle no matter what it actually looks like, Like this is an apple, it looks like this, it's red, no matter what an apple actually looks like. In reality, there are very few apples actually look that way or are that color. So it's like that with our eyes. We walk into a room and our brains just kind of label everything. This is chair, this is window, this is door, this is whatever, table. We don't actually look at them and see, what does that table actually look like right now? Like in this light, there are these colors, sub-colors, floating through at various points. Like over here, there's really that greenish edge to it. And a little bit further on, it kind of goes blue. And then there's that yellow spark or hot flash where the light bulb hits it or something. Whatever it is, right? I'm just making this up. But my point is that there are whole layers of seeing that we do and we don't do. This is why I love photography, or sometimes I would do drawing practices with my goddess child. And it's a practice of seeing what's actually there instead of what our minds assume is there, or what, just kind of like blanking out and labeling blah, 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 and without ever actually taking any of it really in. So there's that. But then there's also those floaties and those glows, and I don't know about you, but there's this one spot in the center of my vision when my eyes are closed that has its own kind of little life going on. It's a little spot, and it's sometimes dark, but if I put my awareness on it, my attention on it, I can perceive it as very light. It's like a flare in there, or sometimes like a little hole through to another, I don't know, dimension or universe or something. And there are other times when I close my eyes and I can see all kinds of things going on in there. There are patterns, there are movements of light, there are shapes being formed. And there are other times, only in the last few years, I think, that I start to see that there's this rotation effect in one way or the other, and it varies on different days, that I can see is my third eye energy kind of spinning, kind of rotating. And I'm sure it was there my whole life, but it's only in the last few years, so like 50 years, I didn't even notice that. So the question kind of comes up for me, like, what am I seeing that's not there just because I expect it to be there? And what am I not seeing that's actually there, that's able to be perceived if I bring more attention to it, or I refine my ability to observe or to receive what's actually real, instead of just what I assume or what's on the surface. That's what most of us see, and even myself as well. On the most of the day, I see the surface of the bed and the covers and the cloth and the whatever. But when I really look at them sometimes, I can see that all of it is moving. None of it's actually stationary. This lovely piece on the wall behind me, this quilting piece on the wall behind me, if my hand were steadier, it's like you can see it doesn't move. Even if my camera is moving, you probably are mostly perceiving that there's a thing there and it's staying still. In fact, it's not. I mean, not only is my camera moving all the time, but when you relax and let go of the brain's kind of control over what you're seeing and just kind of open, there's all kinds of stuff happening. Nothing is as solid. Like our brains are saying they're solid. Our eyes are not saying things are solid. Our eyes are actually saying things are moving. They're flowing like water ripples. The light is changing constantly. Constantly. Like every second, the lights and the colors are actually changing, and our brain is doing that work for us of saying that's still blue, that's still orange, and they're really not. It's an artifact of our minds to see things that way. And I often think, and I could be wrong, but I often think that I can actually see the atoms vibrating inside of things sometimes. Now you're looking, I don't know, it's just me, right? But now I'm looking and I can see this blue light shining on my face. It's like, this is blue. Ooh, I'm painting it blue. the fun we can have with light and vision, right? And I'm reminded too of that study they did that Deepak Chopra talks about in one of his books, where they raised kittens. This is a long video, I hope it's okay. I'm doing it for me, it's my practice. It's going to be what it is, and I'm sure it's perfect. And I love that. I love my insecurity around that. Anyway, Deepak Chopra talks about this study where they raised kittens, 2 different batches of kittens in 2 different rooms, and one of the rooms had only vertical lines in it and was completely absent of horizontal lines. And the other room had only horizontal lines in it and was completely absent of vertical lines. What happened was when those kittens grew up into cats, if they were raised in a room with only vertical lines and there was a chair leg in front of them when they were adults, they would just walk into that chair leg, like literally could not perceive it because it was a line that their brains had no training to see. And the same would happen with the horizontal room cats. So that study to me is groundbreaking. Like, it just breaks open this illusion of what we have going on in our vision, that we're seeing things that aren't there and we're not seeing things that are there. Why is this relevant? I like to just be aware of reality as much as I can. It's to me, I want to perceive beyond surfaces. That's what I've always been interested in, and what's always motivated me and excited me is to be able to see deeper layers of reality than what our surface vision is telling us, or our surface perceptions. And that, I think, can be a spiritual practice all on its own. It's an awakening practice to challenge ourselves in a way, to step up beyond the simplest version of perception of what we assume is around us, but to actually wake up those senses as much as we can from time to time, at least, like just as a practice even, to see what's really around us and find out what's really going on, and to see how much more we can perceive than we thought we could. You know, there's so much out there that we can actually perceive once we practice and learn how, and just kind of make space for in our lives. You know, when we know there's more, we can find it. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's why I guess if I hope this video reminds me of something or inspires you to something, I hope it's that a reminder to wake up and perceive with all of our senses more of what's really happening, and instead of just kind of cruising along in this numbed out assumption mode, like the mechanical thoughts and habitual actions, you know, the robotic version of life, the zombie version of life. Instead, to be actually aware and actually alert and actually perceiving what we're perceiving. It's an amazing awakening just to do that, just to see what we're actually perceiving, just to notice what we're actually perceiving. Anyway, with that thought, I think I will go and see what I can perceive for the day. And I hope that your senses are vitally awake and alive and energized and exciting today as well. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a blessed day.